All right, we've got Rome Total War 2 Empire Divided coming out pretty soon here on the 30th. I got some early access to that, so I wanted to kind of go over what those campaign cultures and factions look like, go over their each individual benefits, their boons, and everything, their placement on the map, and maybe talk about a little bit about their history at the time. But after that, we'll maybe be doing in a separate video a actual campaign, so we can go over that, or we can do that and dive into each individual faction and what I would play. But we'll take a look here at the divided Roman Empire. Following the death of Emperor Alexander Severus, the Roman Empire has fallen into deep crisis. So obviously, this is going to be the three factions that we've seen announced from Creative Assembly. So Palmyra, I've tried to pronounce this like 7 times, I always got it wrong, Gallic Rome, and Rome itself. And so you can actually see on the map here with Gallic Rome, you've got the northern and the southern, or the southern portion of Britain, and Iberia as a little bit of your kind of like vassals, more or less. In the intro, it kind of talked about them kind of like, hey, they're getting delusions of grandeur, they're going to break off from you and try and get their own independence. But let's go over the divided Roman Empire's overall capabilities here. The Defenders of Civilization. They have a 15% morale for all units during battles in own or allied territory and true Rome. Roman factions share a major diplomatic penalty with other Roman factions. Remember at the time, these are all trying to vie for supremacy over one another and oust Emperor Aurelian, who is Aurelian means gold, and Aurelia means gold in Latin, so it's kind of funny. Golden Emperor in Rome here. This actually is this Rome itself is actually marked as the Roman pretenders. So you're trying to vie for control of Rome, obviously. But so with Gallic Rome, the Romanization, public order bonus, maximum of 6+6 for presence of Latin culture, and administrators, minus 20% political action costs. Also, we have Palmyra here. So enlightened ruler, plus 20% research rate, and piety, minus 4 banditry for each cult building. So we have squalor and banditry. Those are the some big mechanics that are in the game as well. This is evident for all regions. Then lastly, we have got Rome. In Rome, Iron Fist, minus 50% resistance to foreign occupation, marching orders, plus 15% movement range for all armies. So you've got Gallic Rome, which takes place obviously in Gaul. Palmyra, which is going to take place in what eventually becomes the seat of the Eastern Roman Empire, and then Roman Rome, which is going to take Rome, which is going to take place in pretty much in the Greek peninsula. Let's jump over to the Germanic kingdoms. The Roman Empire's weakness and instability have proved most fortunate for the Germanic tribes living north of its borders. And here's where we're going to get the board is set up at this point now for what is to become Attila. This is the fall now of, this is the crisis of the 3rd century, or we're stepping into the fall of Rome right around the corner here. So we've got the Saxoni, the Gothi, and the Macromani as your playable factions for the Germanic kingdoms. Obviously you have like the Longobardos in there and other sorts of Germanic tribes is already evident on the map, but these are the 3 you get to play with. Terrors of the Night can always choose to fight night battles, and Looters and Raiders, 150% income from raiding and sacking, so it's pretty huge there. The Saxoni, they are Voyagers with plus 20% movement range for all fleets, and Settlers minus 50% building conversion costs. That's kind of nice because you're going to be marching over here to Latin cultures or to Gaelic cultures because you've got, I think it's actually on here. We'll get to them in a sec here. Or Britannica Celtic. You've got the Caledonia up there. So you're going to be converting a lot of structures as you expand as the Saxoni. But horsemanship is the Gothi. Minus 20% recruitment costs for all cavalry units. Ancestral Blades. Level 1 weapons for sword-armed units upon recruitment. And the Macromani. Tribal Conquerors, plus 20% morale for all units during battles against barbarian tribes. Ambushers, plus 50% chance of successfully launching an ambush. So, the Macromani were a strong Germanic tribe that formed a confederation with surrounding peoples such as the Quadi, Vandals, and Sarmatians. And it's important to note, obviously, that the Gothi, the Gothic, or the Gothic tribes of Germany, or Germanic tribes, were very instrumental in the downfall of Rome. But they also, at the same time, were part of their reserves. All these Germanic tribes helped to work in the Roman legion as more, not necessarily mercenaries, that they were actual full official citizens if they served in the legion and then became part of the empire. Obviously, not all tribes did this, and some did act as mercenaries. But there's this big, weird kind of rumor, I guess, or this big preconceived notion that almost all of late Roman period armies was consistent of mercenaries, Germanic mercenaries, no less, and that is not true. That's not true at all, actually. In fact, the late period Roman military was still extremely strong. We've kind of talked about that. But when the Eastern Roman Empire kind of really came to the front and became very strong, they abandoned a lot of the Western Roman Empire. It became the hardest part of the empire to defend. And that's why Byzantium goes on for thousands and thousands of years after the fact. We'll jump on over to the Eastern Empires, and part of the reason that the Eastern Empires were so strong is because they put such a large effort into defending against the Sassanids here. With the decline of the Parthian Empire and the defeat of the last Aristid king, a new dynasty has risen in their place. The Sassanid Persians have succeeded the Parthians as the new Eastern superpower and rival to Rome. So the Romans at the time were expecting a very large invasion from the Sassanids. Even here, as Shapur I took the throne as a Sassanid ruler of the Persia, he sensed Rome's weakness. So in this actual time, he even talks about it right here. The greatest victory was against Emperor Valerian, who was captured alive. So this is one of the very first times that you have a Roman emperor that is captured by a opposing force like this. And again, this kind of happens a lot in the later centuries of Rome. It's just really bad. Like the emperor kind of loses his overall station and power, and more stops becoming the figurehead of Rome that he once was in the time of, like, say, the great emperor, the golden emperors of Rome, like, say, like Marcus Aurelius or Caesar himself, even though Caesar, stabbed and everything like that. But it has really demoted itself because the quality of emperors has become much more. There's a lot more that come in and out of office because they die a lot faster now. They get killed off or assassinated or captured. So there's a lot of situations where the emperors of Rome are not what they once were. A good way of putting it. But the Eastern empires are a centralized authority, so -5 to banditry in all your provinces. They have the Silk Road, so plus 20% wealth from all commerce buildings, and local dominance, so minor diplomatic bonus with Eastern and Nomadic factions, and Asoran, plus 20% charge bonus for all cavalry units. And we also have Armenia, not the Armenians, but Armenia. Armenia had the legacy of a great empire, but suffered an unfortunate geographical occasion between the hammer that was Rome and the anvil that was Persia. So we know the Armenian Empire kind of ebbs and flows throughout time, expanding to the west, back onto to Armenia itself, to the west and to the north, and back onto Armenia itself. Like, it has this really torrid history here. But they've got Noble Guard, plus 3 experience ranks for the commander's unit, and westward, minor diplomatic bonus with all Roman factions. So this kind of gives you an idea of how the Eastern empires are going to play a part in the Empire Divided. Empire Divided, of course, focusing mainly on Rome and the Germanic kingdoms thereof, but you still get some nomadic tribes in the Alani. We see them come out of Scythia. The northeastern steppes are home to nomadic Scythians and Sarmatian tribes. Fierce warriors all, they are renowned for their riders and skill in archery from horseback. So they have nomadic archers, plus 25% for all units. Warlike people, plus 3 army recruitment slots in home province. And the Alani themselves, warfare was always the Alani way. They ravaged the lands around the Black Sea on all sides, reaching as far as Armenia. So these are the horse lords, plus 2 experience rank for nomadic cavalry recruits. The riders of Rohan are probably one of their stronger units, but also not actually in history, and I'm totally making that shit up. They have the steppe dominance, moderate diplomatic bonus with all nomadic barbarian tribes, and there's quite a few up there. We'll click on over to the Britannica Celts. Britannia has been a Roman province ever since the Emperor Claudius established his authority over its Celtic inhabitants. So heroic culture, plus 20% charge bonus for all units. Sacred springs, plus 6% sanitation for all of your provinces. And we have the Caledonii, were a confederation of northern British tribes banding together as an enemy of the Roman invaders. So This nation, you can kind of even call them Pict land, the Picts, whatever you want to give them the distinction of, even though Picts are a little bit different. This is the force that really kind of rebelled and resisted Roman rule. Rome had expanded beyond the Wall of Hadrian, built by Emperor Hadrian, of course, and the Bretonians, or the Britannians at the time, had pushed them back behind the wall, and they made an accord. They said, hey, like, okay, this is our land, you will not come past it. And they said, just sure, you win, you're kind of crazy. So the northern portion of Britain, for even a long time after this, is very not uncivilized, it's not really the word I'm looking for, but even when you come into the beginning portions of Britain and its unifications under like Alfred the Great and all the such, with the Saxons in there and the Normans in there, for the most part, the north, the Pict land, really stays in its own region for a long time. So fierce independence plus 20% melee attack during battles in own or allied territory. Cultural aspirations, moderate diplomatic bonus with all non-barbaric tribes. So this gives you guys a real quick idea of which campaigns, cultures, and factions you do have access to in the new campaign. So let's actually choose one of these real quick. We'll jump on into the let's just choose these. Oh, look at that. Russell Crowe looks pissed. Oh, if you feel the sun on your face, you're in Elysium and you're already dead. Let's take a look at the unit cards. It's something I wanted to take a look at, and some of you might have already seen this as well. We'll skip through the intro. If you guys would like to see the intros, I can put them up in a separate video. That's cool to me.
Noble Tetricus.
Okay, calm down, guy. Yes, antebellum. Bellum means war in Latin. So if we click on over to, take a look at these cool new unit cards. A little bit different, right? A little bit different. I'm used to them having that really kind of cool Greek and Roman pottery look, so this is kind of a bit different here. And we'll take a look. This is kind of a nice little additional caveat. We'll take a look back out. We'll take a look at the map as a whole. So we have, there we go. I'm so used to playing Total Warhammer 2 that the WASD keys actually don't work here. So with as Gaelic Rome, we've got Britannia up here, Hispania down here, of course. Then we also have Mauritania. This is another separate faction as well. You've got Rome, this is former Carthage, has been taken over, of course. Rome kind of occupies the whole, what is it, the peninsula, it's like the Peloponnese Peninsula, that's the name of the Greek peninsula. Then you've got Palmyra right here, and Galatia kind of separating that as well. Then you have Armenia over as well, and we have taken a look at, we see the Alani and Scythia, but they do get a lot of bonuses with all these factions here. You get all these sort of nomadic tribe bonuses to their diplomats, or to their the diplomacy, so they can really kind of expand out from Scythia without having to go through this whole war route all the way through the place. Hey, look, Gothi, that's the symbol that we saw on the shield of that one warrior in some of the teaser footage that we saw for this little DLC. Let's jump back on out here, and we have the entire Sassanid Empire over here as well. And again, that's just the big empire that Rome is fearing. But this gives you guys a really good idea of what to expect. We got Luigi up here, and this is what we'll be expecting here on the 30th. We can play through this whole entire land. If you guys would like to see me play through a historical campaign, I'm more than happy to. I know quite a bit about history, so I'd love to kind of just dig in and play whichever one you guys think you'd like to see. I'd probably play, to be totally honest, I'd probably play Rome over here, kind of expand out into these Germanic tribes and kind of have fun with them. Or actually, you're supposed to actually retake Roman pretenders here. So I'd love to kind of delve in on that if you guys are interested, or maybe even the Sassanids. That'd be kind of different, something new. I don't typically play these tribes. I usually would play like the Seleucid Empire is like my favorite part of Rome Total War 2. I had so much fun playing as them. So this again just kind of concludes this video. I wanted just to quickly go over all the factions and the cultures and just kind of give you guys an idea of what the campaign map looks like and everything like that. Oh, cultures. But let me know what you guys are interested in as far as a campaign goes for this. I'd love to play through something with you, and you guys can kind of tag along and we can watch through it, maybe even stream it. But thanks for watching here today, guys. Have a good one and take care.